Yang kedua, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm from third class, and now we are presentation about equivalence at work level. And I'm Faridatul Hasanah.
I am Nadila Nurul Izzah.
And I'm Yohana Agnestasya.
And Widya Melinia.
And now we are start from first slide. Next.
The word in different language. The word is the smallest unit of language that can be used by itself, according to Bollinger and Shears. Is there any one-to-one relationship between word and meaning? Well, there is no linear correspondence between word and meaning, and this is the example. Good girl in English rendered to Indonesian to be anak pintar. Next and next. Morphemes. Morphemes contains more than one formal element of meaning. The boundaries of such elements are always clearly marked on the surface. Example, here inconceivable has three morphemes and has different meaning. In means know, conceive means think or imagine, able means can or to be able to. Lexical meaning. The lexical meaning of a word of lexical unit may be thought of as the specific value it has in a particular linguistic system, the personality, and it acquires through usage within that system. It has four main types of meaning in words and utterance, according to Cruz. There is proportional phrases describe the word of speakers to which the word or utterance belongs. For example, shirt is a piece of clothing worn on the upper part of the body. So people can judge the translation because a shirt cannot be translated as a sock. So the professional can be judged as true or false. Expressive meaning relates to speaker's feeling or attitude rather than to what words and utterance refer to. It is quite hard because it has a tight relationship to speakers, so it cannot be judged as true or false. For example, unkind and cruel, it has different degree of meaning. Okay, next. Presupposed meaning. Selectional restriction are a function of the professional meaning of a word. For example, in English, the waves dance slowly, and it selects as a beach or ocean because it refers to waves and translated to be gelombang pantai menari perlahan in Indonesia. Collocational restriction are semantically arbitrary restriction which do not follow logically from the professional meaning of a word. For example, wash in English and to be clean in Russia. Evoked meaning arises from dialect and register variation. A dialect is a variety of language which has currency within a specific community or group of speakers. It includes geographical, temporal, and social. Register is a variety of language that a language user considers appropriate to a specific situation. There are field depends on the action. When people talk about someone, like talking about someone's secret, people would probably has relationship with the speakers first. It might be her friends. Okay, the tenor relates to relationship. There is a difference when children speak with their friends and when children speak with their parents. mode as a language role. Okay, next. The problem of non-equivalence. Semantic fields and lexical sets, the segmentation of experience. There are two main areas in which an understanding of semantic fields and lexical for a translator. A. Appreciating the value that a word has in a given system. B. Developing strategies for dealing with non-equivalence. Common problems of non-equivalence. Culture. Different culture uh, different culture means different meaning. The search language is not lexically in the target language, and word has meaning and concept that cannot be lexically. The search language word is semantically complex. There is no equivalent meaning in target language. The search and target language make different distinction in meaning, limited meaning in target language.
The next is strategies used by professional translators. Translation. The first is translation by a more general word or superordinate. One of the commonest strategies for dealing with many types of non-equivalence, and particularly in the area of professional meaning. It works equally well in most, if not all, language, since the hierarchical structure of semantic field is not language specific. And two is translation by a more natural or less expressive word. There is a noticeable difference in expressive meaning of mumble and with nearest Italian equivalent. And three is translation by culture substitution. The strategy is involves replacing a cultural specific item or expression with a target language item which does not have the same professional meaning but is likely to have a similar effect on the target reader. Next, four is translation using a one word plus explanation. This strategy is particularly common in dealing with culture-specific items, modern concepts, and buzzwords. The one word with an explanation is usually useful when the word in question is repeated several times in the text. Five is translation by paraphrase using a related word. This strategy tends to be used when the concept expressed by the short item is lexical in the target language but in a different form, and when the frequency with which a certain form is used in the short text is significantly and higher than would be natural in the target language. Sixth is translation by paraphrase using unrelated words. If the concept expressed by the search item is not lexical at all in the target language, the paraphrase strategy can still be used in some contexts. Instead of the unrelated word, the paraphrase may be based on modifying a word superordinate or simply on packing the meaning of the short item, particularly if the item in question is semantically complex. Next, seven is translation by option. The strategy might sound rather drastic, but in fact, it does not harm to only translating a word or expression in some context. If the meaning conveyed by a particular item or expression is not vital enough to the development of text to justify distracting to the reader with lengthy explanation. And the last is number 8, translation by illustration. This is a useful option if the word which like an equivalent in the target language refers to a cycle entity that can be illustrated, particularly if there are restrictions on page and if the text has to remain short, concise, and to the point. Next.
Okay. Uh, like Farida mentioned before, he already explained about some strategy of this, and now I will give some explanation. The first about translation by cultural substitution. The benefit of using this strategy is give the reader a concept with he or she can identify something familiar. The translator decision to use this strategy will largely depend on A. How much listen is given to him or her by those who commission the translation. B. The purpose of the translation and the translator on judgment of the disability or otherwise of obscuring the cultural specific, specificity of the source text. For the example, for the source text is Patricia. For the source text, cream tea, and the target text is Italian. It's pasticceria. That's meaning pastry. So the explanation is in Britain, cream tea is an afternoon meal consisting of tea or drink and scone with jam and cold cream to eat. It can also include sandwich and cake. Cream tea has no equivalent in other culture. The Italian translator replaced it with pastry, which does not have the same meaning. For one thing, cream tea in meal in Britain, where areas pastry is only type of food. However, pastry is familiar to the Italian reader and therefore provide a good cultural subtitle. Okay, next. Translation using a loan word or loan word plus explanation. Like Farida explained before, I will just give the example from this. It's about cream tea, cream tea. The target text is German. That's called cream tea.
Next.
Next.
This paraphrase is used if the search item is not lexical at all, and in the target language, it can still be used in some context by modifying or simply on making clear the meaning of the search item. And the main advantage of the paraphrasing strategy is that it can reach a high level of determining meaning. And the disadvantage are the paraphrase has a meaning that is not lexical, or there is a change from the meaning of the search item or recurrence in specific context. And there are often severe restrictions on speech that preclude the use of any strategy involving this type. And the example is the main title of Brian Whitaker's 2006 book about homosexuality in Arab world, Unspeakable Love, Inevitability loses something of its proportional and expressive meaning when translated into Arabic as al-hub, al-ma'mnu, literally forbidden love, but Arabic has no equivalent for unspeakable, and a paraphrase would render the title unworldly and unattractive. And translation by mission. This translation omit words or phrases in some context if the meaning conveyed by a particular item or expression distracting the reader, and translator often just omit of the word of or phrases in question. And translation by illustration. This translation where the possibility of translating a word in target language with long explanation may be changed by providing musical pictures of the word. And the example from the book is on the Lipton Yellow Label tea packet prepared for the Arab market, and there is no easy way of translating tag, as in take a tea bag into Arabic without going into lengthy explanation that would clutter the text. An illustration of a take tea bag is therefore used instead of paraphrase.
And that's all about our presentation. And I'm sorry to our mistake or something else. And we are to close. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.